guys. We have Mr. Khalil Roundtree, Mr. Bernardo. How are you guys?
Good.
Very good. Happy to be here.
How's the weather in Vegas now, man?
Man, it's starting to heat up. It's like it already starting to feel like summer. So I'm looking for an escape ASAP. I need to get out of here.
You ever lived in New York for a short period of time?
Yeah, I lived in New York for a little bit. Right after I moved from Thailand, I went straight to New York, and I stayed there for a bit.
How'd you like it? I moved away from New York a couple of years ago. I'm in Florida now. Life is great.
Yeah, I imagine. When I first got to New York, I loved it. It was so exciting. I wasn't used to like a busy city like New York because I grew up in Vegas. So Vegas is a lot more spread out. We don't have a lot of people walking in the streets. So when I got to New York, it was so exciting, and I loved everything about it. I was doing so much walking and looking around, but it got to a point where it got to be a little bit too crazy for me. Just so much stuff going on, and I was like, okay, I think I've had enough. So I came back to Vegas. Yeah.
And people are not very friendly there too. Like you seem like such a super friendly guy, and people in New York, they're not very. I came from Boston. I moved from Boston to New York, and I felt that people in New York were not very friendly. Can you imagine? Because like I was, so like Boston is not known for having friendly people at all. So.
I started to understand it, because like I'm genuinely a happy person. Like I don't really get bothered by a lot. And I started to notice even my personality changing in New York. And I think it's just because there's just so many people, like it's just like, get away from me, just like no space, like go where it is. So I started to feel like that. And I was like, it just makes sense. There's like millions of people in this, small little space.
You want to hear some crazy New York stories? You got to talk to Renzo Gracie.
Oh,
he gets in all kinds of shit in New York. It has like a magnet for like he's just crossing the street, someone guys and slap him in the butt.
No, there's like 2-3 online videos of him like fighting on the subway or something like that.
And look, Renzo is a pretty friendly guy. Unless you say some shit to him, he's not going to take shit from anyone.
Yeah.
But he's such a happy guy. He hugs and kisses people. He's like, it's all good. Hey, my brother. And he gets into a fight like once a month in there for the last 25 years or something like that.
It doesn't surprise me, man. It doesn't surprise me. Like I said, there's just so many people you never know what you're going to run into because it's just people, all types of people. So I had to get out of there and get to Vegas where I have some space.
Yeah, there you go. How's the training with Bernardo in California? I saw you guys training with Buchecha the other day. That was pretty amazing.
Oh, I love it. The training is so good. We have a lot of chemistry there. It's like as a fighter and as a coach, I'm sure it's not so easy to build chemistry with people who actually understand different methods and principles and an outlook, especially when it comes to jiu-jitsu. How many black belts and masters do we have in the jiu-jitsu world? So it's rare to find someone like Bernardo with the experience and with the mentality that he has. And I think that we both have an understanding of MMA and combat, and it just goes together. And so we're able to really create some cool stuff in the training mats. And then having Buchecha there too, I mean, what a beast. And it's cool because, he's also friendly. And I think that that's what I like a lot is that I have friends like Bernardo and Buchecha where we can get safe, good, hard, effective training and high level, like at the highest level. So I'm happy about it. I think it's been, one of the happiest things that I developed over, after the fight with Alex, and I was able to, find a new piece of my training to add into.
Glad to hear it, man. He's an easy guy to work with too. He's like you said, like of course the mentality and what we want from each other, it's like really good. But he's a good athlete. He's like really smart. He listens. He tries. He gives feedback. So Well, on my side, it's easy, like there's some guys it's just it's just hard to teach, it's like the guy doesn't try, but then he complains about it. Khalil tries. He's like, oh, he gives me feedback. Then I'll be like, hey, okay. And he's like, oh, okay, okay. And like he said, like we understand each other on what I want from him or what I want to give him. It's like I don't want him to be like doing arm bars and triangles and like on his back's fighting pulling guard. It's like so it's good, man. It being on my side, it being amazing too, like to work with him. It'd be a pleasure, man.
And it's pretty funny because Khalil, it's a guy I just said like offline. It's like he looks so friendly, right?
No,
Like people look at you and the first impression is like, what a nice guy.
Yeah,
it's right. So that's and I think that was I'm close friends with Alex, and when you guys I could feel like talking with the Brazilian audience and everything. People had no animosity for you, like especially comparing the Jamal Hill fight with your fight against him, where people were like all over, and I was convinced that Jamal was still injured. I'm still convinced that Jamal is injured from the Prochazka fight.
Yeah.
I don't think this guy ever recovered. I just think they offered him so much money to fight Pereira at UFC 300. He say, fuck it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But when it came to your fight with Pereira, you were so respectful, and I think Pereira was pretty. He's a very respectful guy too, right? Like there was no shit talking. He's super quiet, right? Like, and you were very. How was it? Like the backstage of the negotiations. Like when did that fight land on your lap and say, hey, you guys want to go for it? Because I think there were some other guys that they couldn't fight or whatever his reason.
Yeah, it happened it was like almost like a miracle, like I just got a phone call from the UFC in the middle of the day, and I was handling other stuff, and they just called me and he said, hey, how's your day going? And I was like, not the best. And he's like, well, I got some good news for you. You're going to fight Alex. And I was like, wait, what? Like, what? It just came randomly. There was no like negotiation beforehand. There was no like mentioning of me fighting Alex. There was never a talk about it. It was just a phone call, like one phone call. And the UFC said, you're the one that said you're ready for it. You asked for it, and now it's here. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's of course, this is my dream fight. I've always wanted to fight Alex as soon as I saw how great he was in the cage, when he fought Izzy multiple times and other guys. And I was like, man, this guy is probably the best striker in the division right now. And I want to fight him because I like to strike, so that was always, and that's how I got the fight. And so it was miraculous, but I think I agree. I think he was respectful. He never said anything, harmful towards me or from my family or anything. And another big thing to me was I know that he helped Anderson in one of Anderson's training camps. And Anderson is like a big brother to me. He treated me with so much love. He welcomed me into his home. I was in his wedding, he just did so many things for me. And Anderson has always been my dream, like my inspiration in MMA. So I felt if Anderson has a connection with Pereira, then I have respect too, because I have respect for Anderson, and I would never disrespect, Anderson or somebody who is a friend of Anderson. And also having history in Brazil, like I love what the Brazilian culture has taught me, and the values and the food and the good times and the good memories. So it was all just a positive thing for me. I had no reason to be disrespectful at all.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And being a high level striker like you, how do you rank Alex's striking and fight IQ? I think he made one, and it shows you got in there in one of those situations where you got out of the fight like way bigger than you got in, like hype wise. I'm talking about like people really got you good there? Like it's like, oh, holy shit! They saw a guy like I don't think they ever saw that side of you before. And Alex made one mistake and you almost knocked him out. I was like screaming on top of my lungs in the middle. I was like, holy shit! So how do you saw, like, was it everything you expected to be, like his level of strike, like matching it up, studying him and stuff?
Yeah, it was everything that I expected it to be. It was a great match, and I think that we both put our hearts into that fight. I really do. I think that he brought out the best version of him, and I brought out the best version of me. And I wasn't surprised by anything. It wasn't like I wasn't lying or trying to sell a fight when I asked to fight him. You know, I knew that it was going to be a challenge, and I truly believed that I could beat him. You know, and like I still do think that if we fight again, that I have a chance of beating him. You know, like it's just this competitive. You know, it's just a competitive respect. It's no disrespect. It's not like, you know, I'm talking crap about this guy. I believe that he's incredible. I really do. And but I also believe in myself, and I know that I can, you know, I know it's like if you can't beat the final level, you're like, I know I can beat it. I just got to beat it. I just got to, you know, that's how I feel, you know, like it's like that when it comes to, you know, just my respect level for him. Like, yeah, you're the final boss, but I can do it, you know, like, especially when it comes to striking, you know, and that's why I wanted to give the fans promise of like, no, we're going to keep this fight on the feet, because it was always like a test for me and my striking. I didn't want to go in there and change the game plan and take him down just to get the win. You know, like being a champion to me is important, but I wanted that fight to be a test of my striking against the striker. And
the striker.
You know, and I think that got to prove to a lot of people that I'm also up there in that level of like the striker. I didn't win, but I got the respect, and people know that like when it comes to striking, I will go all the way, and you can count on, you know, I'm gonna swing until I can't swing.
And it's weird because you fought I forgot his name, the Turkish guy that was like 11 times Muay Thai champion, kickboxing champion. Yeah, and you knock him out in like 45 seconds or something like that, you know, so it's weird that you have to put up like a war too again. Just like, you know, just to
I
prove
think
it.
Gokhan Saki, it's on Alex top 5 best striker of all times too.
Yeah.
What do you think happened? Do you think it just didn't go well with MMA?
You know, I don't know enough to really give too much of a personal opinion. I don't know. Like, as fighters, we get paid to show up and entertain, but people don't really know too much about, you know, what's going on in our personal lives. So I don't know. All I know is that maybe, you know, MMA wasn't working for him and he chose to take a different route. But that doesn't take away from all of the amazing things that he did in Glory and all these other shows, because it was another thing. I had a lot of respect for Gokhan Saki. I watched his fights younger when I first got into MMA, and I thought, man, this guy is incredible. And so that's another thing. When they asked me if I would fight Gokhan Saki, I said, yes, absolutely. Because I've seen this guy. You know what I mean? I've watched this guy. I've been inspired by him. So for me to fight him is just an honor. It's a privilege to me, you know? And it happened the way that it happened, and I'm happy with that. But I'm also happy with, like, I didn't just knock Alex out in the first round. Like, we went to war, and that really got to show, you know, like a longer, like people got to see, you know, 20, 15 minutes versus like 1 minute, you know. So I'm happy with that outcome as well, even though I lost.
Yeah, was the UFC ever made you aware of the Alex health conditions? Because he said after that he was pretty sick like the week before or something. He said, "Look, I go, but with the conditions that if I don't feel good, I can jump out of that fight the Friday before the fight, which is like literally like a day before. And he said, I only fought. I say, I'm not making excuses, but I only fought because I felt good.
Yeah.
So he was good to fight, but he was in such a shitty condition before that he was like, I'm not sure I'll be able to make it. So he had that side deal with the UFC, just like, look, if I'm not good by Friday, I'll raise my hand and I'm out of the fight. And they say, yes, okay, so please. And
Well,
did you know
I
anything?
never knew anything. Like UFC didn't call me and tell me like, "Hey, there's a chance that." No, that was never discussed, and that's fine. You know, I think if anything, they would wait until the last minute so that it doesn't mess me up. You know, like it's they do their job. You know, they're like, okay, cool, I'm okay. Let us know. But they didn't, you know, call me and tell me because that would have. Oh man. I would have been like, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah, it's such an uncertainty, right? It's like, holy shit! So what are we doing? Yeah, and Alex said, "Look, that takes nothing from the fight. Like I was fine. That's why I fought. I would not fight if I was not good enough to go and fight and stuff like that." So
but I just his character. He you know, no matter what, he, you know, whatever he's going through, broken foot, broken anything, you know, he does what he loves to do, and he puts on entertaining fights for the fans, and I think that's why, you know, the world loves him.
Talk about your Jamal Hill fight. How we know it just got postponed.
Yeah.
How do you think that fight's gonna go? Like I still think, I'm gonna say it again. You don't have to agree with me, but if you agree, you can just blink on the side. I think this guy is just like doing a little run around just so he gets a little extra time. I don't think this guy it's 100%. And I think he's so afraid of you. I don't want you to agree with that because I know you guys don't do that.
Yeah.
But it's such a shitty comeback for a guy. It's like, all right, so you just lost to Prohaska. Now here's Khalil Roundtree for your recovery fight. That I was like, holy shit.
Here's I can't say that, you know, he's faking an injury. You know, like I get the information that is given to me and I just take it at face value. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, there's an injury, it postpones the fight. Okay, that's my responsibility to just continue to get prepared. Now, as far as how I think the fight's going to go, all I can do is just be my best. And I have done a lot of preparation. I've learned a lot from the Alex fight. I had time off to rest and recover and get back into, you know, a healthy mindset and many different things, you know, and just to learn from that fight and to make some adjustments. And now I'm just going to come in as prepared as I was for the Alex fight and take it from there because I want to continue to, you know, strive to become the champion. Whatever is going on from him, that's not my business. You know, my business is to show up that night and make sure that the fans are just as entertained with my performance as they were in the Alex fight.
Yeah, I'm happy for you for having that fight. Let's put it this way.
Yeah,
because I think it's going to be a good fight for you.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's an exciting fight. You know, like we were talking about before. I like to fight strikers. From what I've seen from Jamal, he's a striker, and so I love that matchup. You know, it's like he's a striker, so we're gonna strike. You know, we're gonna strike, and he has power. You know, he has power. He has, you know, some experience. You know, he's got heart too. I can't take it away. He does have heart, and so do I. And so we just get to put all of those things together in the cage. And, you know, my job is to make it a night to remember. That's how I look at it. You know,
that's awesome.
Yeah. For me, as a coach too, I see that it's a good fight for him, not just a matchup and determined, but rank wise, it makes sense for Khalil because he deserves to go up on ranking, like that much, like he deserves to have that spot and be over there, like one fight away, or like at least, if depending what happens, go for the title shot again, independent of what happened from the up rankings, So I feel like that will be a good fight for that too, like to people to prove that he's like, hey, look, I'm gonna do it again. It wasn't like a lucky call from the UFC, like he said, out of nowhere. It's like he 100%. And of course, after that fight with Alex, people were like, "Oh shit, okay." It's like, But that one, I feel, is just more the how people worry too much about the rankings kind of thing. It's like a stamp, and to be like, "Hey, look, now I'll stay on top." Like, don't compare me with the other guys. It's like,
I agree. I remember like the people they only complain before, and that's before the Alex fight, was like, well, that makes no sense. Alex is the champion. He's gonna fight. I think like you were number 8 at the time. I don't even know. You're still number 8.
I think 7. Yeah.
7.
Yeah, like, oh, he's gonna fight the number 8. Watch the fight now. I was like, look, it's UFC knows how to do good matchups. Like it's so clear. Like I think I said in one of my videos that you were the highest level striker that I saw Alex fighting, and even though he fought at Adesanya, I think you brought so much more risk to him with a knockout power, and he's so talented. And I said that like I'm a big fan of Jiri Prohaska, but it's a different kind of talent, right? Like he's so unpredictable.
Yeah.
That's what makes fun. He's not. It's hard to explain. It's like, look, I'm not a fighter. I'm not even going to go into the technicality, but I see you as a elite striker, and I see Prohaska as a different type of elite striker. He brings a unpredictable thing that nobody brings. I think that's what makes him so dangerous.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't think when they got you to fight Alex, I was like, that's a good fucking fight. That's a great fight. And people are like, oh, it's number 8. I was like, it's gonna be a great fight. It's gonna be a great fight. There's no way. It's like it was fucking beautiful.
Thank you for that, because I always before that fight happened, I believed in myself, and I felt like that would be a great fight for the fans to see, because I knew what I was dedicated to bringing. Like, if the UFC makes this matchup, whether it's now or later, when that matchup comes, I know that I'm going to come in so prepared and, and really make it entertaining for the people who are fans of entertaining fights, not the people who are the fans of like, oh, the rankings, this and that. And, no, if you just like to watch good fights, like a BMF type of fight, Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje, if you like those type of fights and you don't care who wins, you just want to see both of these guys try to prove that they're the best, then that's how I saw this fight. So for the people who supported that vision, I love and I respect, because those are, I feel like that's the one of the best parts of fighting, just seeing good fights, seeing good, like two good warriors go in there and, and go at it. And then the other thing is, I think that I learned and that I love about that fight with Alex is that the UFC and Dana White himself went and changed the entire ranking systems because of that fight. Before that fight, the rankings were controlled by the media. And after that fight, because of, the both of us going in there and just giving our absolute best, it showed to Dana White, like, no, you know what? We're in charge of the rankings. We say who's
convinced
you know what I mean? Like, we don't care about the media. Like, no, we're gonna say who's the best and who deserves to be 1, 2, and 3. And so that, to me, I like, there was just so many positives that that came out of that fight and even that loss. So like, I just thank God for it. You know, like it's just like a miraculous thing. You know, like all that stuff just happened. Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome. How'd you score his fight with Ankalaev?
You know, I didn't. It was hard for me to watch that fight and to like score it. You know, it was very hard for me to watch it from the standpoint of, you know, like analyzing, because I was there front row, and when I saw Alex walk out, I just, for some reason, I don't even know if I'm right by saying this, and if this comes up and Alex, you know, explains this, then that's fine. But I just felt that the Alex that walked out that night was a different Alex that walked out the night that him and I fought. I just saw that because I know what it's like to be there in the cage, and then this guy's coming in there, you know, like I remember that. Yeah. I remember that day every day. So when I saw him walking out for Ankalaev, I just saw like a different guy.
There's something off, kind of different.
Yeah, like, and so from that moment, I was just kind of like, this is interesting. I don't have the best feeling about it. And then so as I had
the same feeling. They even changed the song. They killed the fucking song. Because the song was,
I didn't even notice that.
It has a build up where he was going in and he will stop and do the bow and everything. Yeah. They killed that whole moment. I was like, why?
Yeah, I don't know. And it was very interesting. And then so, you know, I saw like I know that sometimes he'll take his time. He'll do the calf kicks. You know, he'll kind of read the movements of the opponents, but you know, after the second, third round, when I saw that he really wasn't attacking, and the rest of my like experience of the fight was just, I watched it in frustration. You know, I was just like, I couldn't even really watch it. I was like, I don't understand, like, what's going on, because it shouldn't be like this. It doesn't have to be like this, you know. So I don't know how I scored it. I just saw it and I was like kind of confused, because I was expecting the same guy that came in and fought me to go in there and do the same thing. I wanted to see what that experience was like from the outside, you know, like kind of cage that, like, okay, yeah, I remember being in there, like, and I was like, no, it was nothing like this when I was in there. Like, what the heck? So yeah. I don't know
why I didn't get this, Alex, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I have a few questions here just to be funny. You gotta answer quick, okay?
Yeah.
What was the best fight of your life?
Eric Anders.
The worst fight of your life?
Johnny Walker.
Look, the hugest fight that almost happened and nobody knows about it.
I don't know.
You know,
I don't know. I can't even answer that.
No, it's probably Alex, the biggest fight, but like before, like is there a fight like, hey, you're gonna fight this guy for an interim belt or whatever, and it fell through, and nobody ever knew?
That's never happened.
All right, so without it's bugging my head because it's all in Portuguese here, so I'm trying to translate it and make sense to you. It's like a fight that if you could, you change the outcome without being one of your fights.
Alex Pereira. Because then I would have put on a good fight, and then I would have won in the end, and then I would have been the hero of the world.
Like when I talk to the Brazilian fighters and I ask this same question, they pick Jose Aldo against McGregor. And I think it's right tied at number one. It's Anderson against Weidman. Any of those fights. It could be.
I have to say something
It
about
could be the first fight. It could be the second fight.
I have to say something about that fight. You know, when you're a child and like maybe something bad happens to you and you block it out of your mind. You try to just forget that it ever even happened. That fight to me is that it's that
The first fight or the second one?
when he got knocked out, the first fight,
Oh, okay.
the first fight,
Yeah.
because right, that's the first one. The second
Yes.
one was the leg break. Yeah.
The leg one.
So
Yeah.
that night was, I think, right before I was fighting for an amateur title fight. And I was watching the Anderson Silva documentary, Like Water is the name. I was watching that every single day for training camp. I would watch it from start to finish. And I would just be so inspired by Anderson Silva. And I watch all his fights. And I remember that night I was sitting on my couch and I was so happy because I'm like, yeah, he's going to destroy Chris Weidman, And then
Anderson's
he did this.
fight night. It was every fight night. It was like that. In Brazil, people would do like parties and barbecues and say it was never called the UFC. It's just like, hey, Anderson is fighting tonight.
Yeah.
you didn't call, hey, there's UFC tonight.
Yeah.
It says, hey, Anderson is fighting tonight. Oh, let's get together and watch.
Yeah. And I remember just when that happened, I remember I cried. I didn't even know Anderson yet. I met him like maybe 1 year after.
Wow.
I cried. I was just like, no, it was just the worst night ever. So I forget it. Like I don't know. I do my best to forget it. But that's one, beside my own fight, that's the one I would change for sure.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
A guy, the guy who hit you the hardest up to now.
Alex.
Was it Alex?
Yeah.
A weird thing you do and nobody knows about it.
A weird thing I do and nobody knows about it. I like to, like when I'm driving, I like to put like my phone like on the tripod and I sing my favorite songs and I record it, but I never post it.
That's so cool. I didn't think
like I put like my phone here and I'm like, yeah, and I'm singing my favorite songs, and then like when I go to home or like I'm on the toilet and I see it, I'm like, I can't post that. I can't post that.
Do you love Apple Music now that you can do like a karaoke with whatever song you like?
Yeah, it's so good.
I'm gonna have to ask
so
next
good.
time in Vegas we ride into the gym. I'm gonna have to have him to sing for me. I want to hear it.
I mean, you've seen it in the car. Like if you're in the back seat, I love to drive and listen to music. But when I don't have friends in the car, I put my phone and I'm friends with myself.
The weirdest thing you ever did for money?
The weirdest thing I ever did for money. Man.
That many?
No, I'm just bored. I mean, like, I'm boring. I'm like, I don't know. What did I do for money? Weird. I don't know. I've never done anything weird for money.
I heard so many things. I heard a fighter, I'm not gonna say who because we end up cutting that part. He said there was this millionaire that paid him like, I don't know, like 100 grand to fight him in his house. He did like a cage there. And he said, I want you to fucking fight me for real. And he went there, beat the shit out of a guy in 45 seconds, got 100 grand. The guy loves him to date. Like, text him every week. Hey, buddy, how are you? Well, that was weird, but, like he wanted to have a real fighting experience.
Yeah, I think, I would say the most, like, interesting thing that I've done for money is I acted in a movie. Like, I had no acting experience. I didn't know anything about acting, and these guys hit me up and they're like, hey, we want you to be in our movie. And I was like, okay, I've never done this before, but okay, and I practiced the lines and I was in the movie. But that's nothing that I've ever done before. I never said like, oh,
was it cool?
Yeah, it was fun. It was me, Rampage, Anderson, like so many people, fight legends and stuff in the movie. So we had fun. But it was just weird because I'm not an actor, I just did it. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. The best memory you have in your life?
Ooh, best memory I have in my life. I think man, and now I'm gonna get like pretty deep. So before I started fighting, I don't know if people know this, but like a lot of people heard my story of like I was like really depressed and
Yeah.
just like suicidal, and I didn't have any hope or dreams or anything. I just didn't want to be alive anymore. And I remember one day I was traveling with my friends who played music in a band, and I used to sell their clothes. So when we were stopped, everybody was sleeping, and I remember being in the front seat of the van, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, you know, if there's a God of some type, I just want to have a good day, and I want to do something better with my life. I need some type of I need help. You know, and at this time I didn't have any belief, anything. I was just like lost, and like I said, I wanted to end my life. But that day I was just like, if there is a God, I just want to have a good day, and I need something to look forward to. And I remember like when I woke up from my sleep, I started having like a really good day, and then things started like my life started to move in like a positive direction. And that was like the day that I just was like I started to just make in positive direction, and it was just like my life started to change from there. I didn't even know anything about fighting yet, blah blah blah. I was just kind of like, I just need some help in life, and I have nothing else to hold on to. So like, if there's something else
Wow.
out there, the universe, God, whatever it is, just I need help. And from that day, like my life started to change dramatically. Yeah,
That's crazy. That's a
yeah,
crazy story.
yeah. So
Wow.
that's like, yeah, that's a day that like, it changed my life. I always remember
Wow. Oh, look,
that.
I had yesterday, I was in Miami, and not yesterday, I'm sorry, Wednesday, I was in Miami, and I recorded, I do this, I would love to do that with you. One day I'm around, I'll let you know. It's like in a car, we'll drive around like a Jerry Seinfeld, comedians in cars getting coffee. Remember that?
Yeah,
Just drive around and chat, stop for a Starbucks or whatever. And I had Mauricio Hufi. You know who that guy is
of
from the
course,
Fighting
fighting Philly.
Nerds?
Yeah.
He has a story that's very similar to yours. Like he was suicidal, almost divorcing his wife, and life was awful. And it's a story like one day he got an Uber from the gym to he was already out of his house. He was living somewhere else, and he got an Uber going to see something on his wife's house or something. And this Uber driver got there, picked him up, and told him, "Say, hey, Jesus sent me here for you."
Mm.
And this guy started talking to him about all his problems in his life, and then he never saw the guy.
Oh
And
my
and and the guy they drove to his house, and he was crying his eyes out, and he was telling all the problems. And his wife, she had like a condition, she couldn't have a baby, and that was part of the fighting and everything. He went there, he's like, hey, I wanna say a prayer to your wife. So he went there, this guy went there, like he never saw this guy before. And this
God.
guy is at his house now, holding hands with him and his wife, and they are praying, and Hoof is crying, his wife is crying. This guy left. They never saw this guy again. It was a small town. He never saw the guy again. And a few weeks they were back together. The wife got pregnant. Things start going well in his life. He was like, it's like if look, I
Yeah,
I can't even
Yeah.
express myself telling that story because it's something so crazy. And you
yeah,
just say that something like that's very similar to that. Very similar.
yeah. Very similar, like experience. You know, and it's one day where I was just at my lowest point, and I just called out for help internally, and something came and and started to help me
Yeah,
and give me
same.
some direction. And so I'm forever grateful, for that. And I always do my best to always keep that memory in my heart, and a part of how I treat people, and
Yeah.
how I'm grateful for a lot of the things that do come to my life, like a phone call in the middle of the day that, hey, you're gonna fight Alex Pereira. Like there's just things like that in my life
Yeah.
where I'm like, okay, You know, like I asked for it and it's coming, and so all I can do now is just be grateful for it, you know, because I can't be afraid of this. I asked for it, you know.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
amazing. That's amazing. I love that.
yeah.
For us to wrap up, because I blew up the promise. I promised 20 minutes. We're like 40 now.
It's okay.
Your biggest hero.
Ooh, my biggest hero would be my father, who passed away. I never met my father. I never knew him. He passed away when I was 2 years old, but he left me a lot of things like memories and pictures and you know, accomplishments. And as a child, that's all I had to remember my father by, and stories that people told me that, you know, of my father and what he did for them, and you know, how he helped them. And so all I have, if you know, is the memory of my father, as far as like, you know, I'm gonna complete the job that you started, and you know, and leave a, you know, leave this earth a strong and you know, respectful person. Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful.
Nice.
Beautiful. And your biggest fear.
My biggest fear.
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow.
If you never thought about it, it's fine too. It's
Yeah,
actually great news.
I never really thought about it, but it's very. I'd say it's pretty cliche to say God, but I honestly think that, like, yeah, I would say my biggest fear is just like you know, like just God. Like I don't, I do whatever I can do to try to live like a good life, you know, because after this life, if there's something for us, I want to make sure that, like, you know, I'm worthy of, you know, things that can come after. So, you know, I just, you know, if I just don't want to upset, you know, something that's, you know, something that's, you know, that's you know, greater than I am. So, you know, I push the boundaries. I test, you know, a lot of things, and I try to conquer fears and jump from things and jump from planes and do all of these things. But I think, like, I want to make sure that, you know, I'm being a good human, and kind of being judged off of, you know, certain actions and morals, for sure.
Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. Thank you so much for doing this. It's I'm sure you're a good human. At least that's the impression we got from you. You like, honestly, you seem like a great guy. So
I'm doing my
thanks for
best.
this,
I
man. Thanks for
appreciate
that.
that, guys. Yeah.
We're deep, though. Like we finished on such like a high,
Yeah, no, yeah.
deep level, right? Like,
Yeah, it's good. It's good. You know, like, I think that a lot of the times, it's with social media, with podcasts, with a lot of stuff, like, it's hard to just get good reminders. You know, there are a lot of people out there in the world that do want to be good, and they do want to do good, and they want the best for other people. And like, there's this positive force that just like wants to move forward in the world, but it's so hard with a lot of the negativity and the, you know, and the sad and the hurt, and there's just a lot of bad stuff, but there's not a lot of stuff for us that, like, can kind of like, okay, yeah, I feel good about myself today, or you know, I'm gonna keep going forward because there's other people that think like me, you know, like, it's there's not a lot of that in the world. So, like, when we get the opportunities to be that, let's take advantage of it, you know.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Look,
That's good.
I'll be cheering for you on your next fight, and everything going well. Maybe after your fight, we'll talk again, and you let me know how was it and everything. Will be really cool.
Yeah, let's do it. If you're friends with Bernardo, you're friends with me. Tamo junto, irmão.
Tamo
Tamo junto, pô. Very nice, very nice. Thank you so much, Mr. Bernardo. Say something, man.
Thank
You're
you,
so
yeah.
quiet.
No, man. No, it's just like, you know, it's like you said, Khalil, and I probably told him, like, man, I always never met, like, first time I met him over here, I was like, hey, man, you're such a, like, one of the best descriptions, like, such a good vibe person, even from, like, far away, you know, and he's a great human, and he's a really nice person, man, and it's the reason that I feel like I have such a connection with him too, you know. It's like, I don't if he wasn't as a good person as he is, I don't know if I'll, you know, I think that's why I put the energy on teaching him and worrying and trying to do my best, you know, and worry about doing my best with him. And he's a great human, man. I can vouch for that 100%. You know, he's an amazing human.
I thank you for that, Bernardo. I thank you for that too. And I can say the same thing about you, because I can only be myself around people who are the same, you know, like, and I think that's why, like, you, like, if we see the good in others, it's because we also see it in ourselves, you know. And like, it's a connection thing. It's just a connection thing. We just have to see it and be like, yeah, you know what, like that. So yeah, I'm there. I'm good too. You're like, we're all good people. You know, like we're all good people, and it's okay to show that and to want that in the world. It really is.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what's funny? A year or so ago, Leozinho, he was here in my house, and we end up spending the week together. He was here just for a podcast. I have a bedroom here that I set up a little studio. And we had this podcast talking about his jiu-jitsu history and everything. And he's like, he ended up, like, next day he came back, and then we had lunch. And the next day, it was St. Patrick's Day. We went out to Disney Springs, and we had like a beer in an Irish bar. And the next day he showed up back here with a bunch of cookies. And I was like, this is so cool. And then he said, you should call Bernardo. You got to call Bernardo. You guys going to get along well. and he's like, he's really good friends with Bochecha. I was like, well, if you're good friends with Bochecha, I don't think there's a sweetest person in life than Bochecha, right? I was like, all right, if he's good friends with Bochecha, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get along with him. Because it's like, how you don't love Bochecha, right? So, and then I text him like a week later, and he was living in Hawaii. And we'll hey, let's do something. And Leo said these and Leo said that. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. And we've been talking for a whole year. Yeah. Let's do something. We just started doing this thing that Leo told me to do like a year ago. I don't know, like 4 weeks ago. Yeah. And it's pretty amazing. You were guys saying like how good people somehow end up getting connected to each other. It's crazy.
Yeah, of course, man. It's a nice feeling, and it's nice to be surrounded by, you know, like just good-hearted people that we can laugh and have fun with, enjoy life, and you know, chase our dreams, you know, together. Tamo junto. That's why I always say that. I love that word. You know? I love that because like it's like for some reason when I hear it, when it was told to me, I felt like I like that. You know, like I like how that feels. And you can only I can only truly say that if it's like, okay, yeah, we're here. Like I understand. You know.
Awesome, man. But we'll do this again. Thank you so much for doing this.
Appreciate it.
I'm a big fan, and I can't wait to see you stepping there. And I can't wait to see you some of the jiu-jitsu you've been getting from Bernardo, Bochecha, Leo Vieira. Like that's gonna be pretty amazing too.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Thank you, man. This has been nice for sure.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Bernardo, I'll see you later.
See you guys.